Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from. Welcome to Coffee with Artists. We are back. We had a couple of months hiatus. We took a little breather, we took a little break, but we are back doing what is my zone of joy, interviewing artists. And I have an amazing guest joining me today. She's almost a neighbor. She's in Long Island. I'm in New Jersey. Welcome, Eleanor. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity.
Oh my gosh, please. It's so nice to sit down with you. And I love what you have going on in the background there. I spot a couple of paintings. In fact, I think I see the love.
You
Yep.
see it? That's
Yep.
my signature love.
You sent me a beautiful mug and a beautiful, oh, I love that. I love that. A mug and also a gorgeous pillow that I love so much. So you're a visual artist, you're a painter, you're based in Long Island. Tell us like how you started creating. Was there like is there a memory that you can recall as a child where you were like, okay, this is my jam?
Sure. Basically, I was one of those kids in school that would always doodle and start painting. Um, at a young age, it was just something that came natural to me. And I'll be honest with you, I really was like always doing it in school. I used to get in trouble, but I kind of focused on it because yes, I was kind of bullied in elementary school because I think it was because I had big eyebrows and I did have the unibrow. So I used to get, made fun of a lot. And I just stuck to doing the safe zone, which was always creating and drawing. And what I would do is I would draw and then I would give it to like my teachers. My art teachers were supportive. So it was something that I really enjoyed. And then as I got older, well, not that old, around 7 or 8 years old, I always used to get in trouble. I was like the bad twin. So I always used to get in trouble. So nobody could ever babysit me and John together, my twin, because I would be the instigator and make him do things. So one day they separated us and my cousin Maria was like, I'll take care of Elena. I know how to handle her. And she's an artist. And I was like so pissed off. I'm like, who are you to tell me? I had an attitude. So she put a canvas in front of me and she was just like, relax, paint what you want, what you feel. And it's something that I always did on paper. So I was like, all right, this is new. I'm going to do something different. And I loved it. And it was just, I knew from then on that it was something that I always wanted to do. Now, growing up, was it a hobby? Sure. And then, of course, after college, I kind of went into the graphic design because that's what my cousin did. I figured this was what I had to do, to make money. But the art was always there, always painting, always creating. I would have a few shows with other artists, group shows, but I took it seriously when my older brother passed away, which was just a tragic, crazy accident. He's working on his house because that's what he did. He was a contractor. He fell and died, boom, just like that, like 20 years ago. And since then, I was in my 30s then. That's when I was just, I felt the need to paint more. And then I realized, you know what? This is what I want to do. This is it makes me feel good. And I loved how it made others feel when they would look at my work. I think overall, that's what makes me want to do it more is how others connect to it and feel. And almost it felt like, wow, I have a superpower. And my power is to make things, to make people happy, to give, like I say, I live in color and I live and breathe color is because I think color has this powerful communication that, like it invokes so many things, emotion and feelings. And I use that with like, I feel like God gave me this talent to send positive messages. And that's why I paint a lot of like happy colors, happy things. And most of all, things about love, because I think love has gotten me, especially through a lot of things. And it's something that my mom has always like tried to like teach us, like, no matter what, even when the kids were making fun of me, she's like, it's okay. You're different. Just love them back. Be nice, be kind, because that's what they want. That's what they need. And it always stuck with me. And no matter what I've experienced in my life, because I've experienced a lot, bad things, good things. In the end, it's always about love. And you say that a lot too. You know, art is an act of love, and I really understand that.
I love that. And amazing, like just how passionate you are about what you do. And there's so much vibrancy and energy that just comes from your work. Like even just the piece that you have in the background, like there's just so much joy that you're conveying in how you create. I love that it was your cousin that got you into this, and I'm really sorry about your brother. I had no idea. That's
Yeah, thank you.
tragic. Do you find that when you actually are in that creative zone and you're sitting down and you're with your paints and you're expressing, do you find that it takes you somewhere else? Has it been something that's been healing to you, the actual practice of art?
You have no idea how healing it is. Whether I'm in a good mood or a bad mood or experiencing sadness, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not something I like to share. I mean, it's not. I don't really. It doesn't define my life. But what happened to me later on in life is I got this like crazy um, autoimmune issue where I get pain. It's like RA, it's called rheumatoid arthritis. So I get pain on my body and my fingers. And when I broke, and it all happened when I broke my hand once. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, you know, you also have this. And so I've experienced a lot of pain. But I'll tell you, even sometimes I can't even pick up something because it hurts. When I'm in the zone of painting, it's like medicine. It's like I can't explain it, but nothing hurts. And so when I'm creating, it's like I'm so happy I'm in that zone, because sometimes in the back of my mind I'm like, I don't know when you know, maybe one day I'm not going to be able to do it. So when I'm creating, I'm so happy, and I continuously try to paint what I feel, because you just never know, you know. And you know, as artists, we also get into that rut where you can't paint something that's going on in your mind, your subconscious, and you're like, oh, did I lose it? Like, can I be creative again? And what I do, though, that helps. What I do is it's all about space, I feel. So what I do is, and I just did it last weekend, I rearrange my studio. I'll start touching like the paints, and you know, feeling them out and looking at them and organizing them. And then I see what I need, what I don't need. I get excited to go to the art store. And then I start feeling like, okay, like things happen in your mind, and you look at the colors, and it's something magical happens in you. I think all artists experience it. And then you get into the mood again, and you're like, okay, what am I going to paint today? And sometimes I'll paint on the wall. Sometimes I'll paint on my clothes. It doesn't matter, as long as I'm in that zone, and I put that energy out, you know, like it feels good. And then the next step is I can't wait to show it, because that's the next, you know, gratification of like, what are people going to see in this, and what are they going to feel? What are they going to get out of it? And it's just like, it's what, you know, excites me.
That's so awesome. Are you somebody that like has kind of the idea conceived, or do you just kind of go to the canvas and like see what the hell happens?
In the beginning, I used to have that idea. I also have it like in my dreams. I'll sleep like every night. I don't go to sleep very easily. It's like my mind is working, but I'm also like, it's like I'm traveling and I'm going here and I'm seeing colors, and it's amazing, because it's like I don't know, it's a journey, right? And I just love, like, when I'm out, when it's like a nice day and I'm outside and I just close my eyes and the sun is on me. That's like, people are like, oh, you're lazy. What are you doing? You're just tanning. No, it's it's like therapy. I see things or whatever that my mind has captured. And that's what happened to me when I came back from Greece last summer. I would just like sit in the sun and think about all the islands I was traveling to and all the culture I was experiencing in Greece. And every time I go, although I'm Greek, it always feels like a new experience. So it's like I had all this overwhelming blue and colors of blue and things that I saw. That's how I developed my my blue series of like everything that you know resonated to Greece, and whether it was, you know, the donkey that my grandmother used to take me to ride, to the evil eyes that I create. So the process, yeah, it's usually, I think about it, I dream about it, but there are times like recently, I belong to a gallery. I'm a member at the local gallery here called Huntington Arts Council. And because they like me and they love my style, they're like, would you like to paint 2 guitars? Because we want to auction them in May. And
So great.
we like your style. And I was like, sure. So I picked them up. I had them for a week just looking at them. And then I started putting music that I like of acoustic. That's the process. And I didn't know what I was going to create because it was different. I had to create on like the guitar and it was like, from the back, from the sides, from the front. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put all my colors around me. And it was more like, it was like I was like a concert and the paints were like looking at me. And I'm like, all right, what am I going to produce now? Right. Got the music on. I got the birds chirping, the sunlight, because I got the rooftop studio here. And I just started I'm like, I'm going to do my style, the way I like the colors to move and to flow. And then I did my heart design, which I do on the love there. Where is it? Right there. Yeah. So it just, that wasn't really thought. It was like random. So I do kind of both. It depends on the mood. It depends on the subject. I don't know. But it's always exciting when you don't have it planned, because when you start painting, I realized that when I started painting with my hands, it's like you don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I've realized that what does happen is something even more magnificent than you imagined. Mm. And I have a whole series of just paintings that I did with my hands.
So great.
Yeah.
So I first of all, I love that blue and white Greek series that you've done. It's like iconic, like
yeah,
kind of pop culture. And let's talk a little bit about your heritage and your culture and what it means to you. You shared just before we jumped on that you live in like a 3-story apartment, and it's like, what did you say? It's like My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
It really is.
Tell us about it.
The whole concept of My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and towards the end is like, she gets married and she moves like right next door to her parents.
That's a fantastic movie. I love that movie.
It's really funny. And she's really cool. I met her years ago in LA. Yeah, she was so funny. We met her because my friend's a comedian in New York, and we met her at a Greek church in LA. And she knew her, from comedy. Oh God, the landscapers! I hope you don't hear them.
No, you're all good.
So we met her, and she's like, we're at the Greek festival, and she's telling us about, I'm going to make a movie. It's going to be like this, and we're like looking at her like, yeah, sure. And then she made it, and we loved it. We were like, good for her, So basically, so my house where I grew up is 1 block away. And at a young age, I mean, like, I'm from Long Island, but I was always in New York. Like, I don't know. I was a New York City girl. So, but of course, Greek family, don't go, don't leave us, whatever. So I stayed, I stayed in Long Island, but I was always in New York. But, then, I grew up, I finished college. I'm like, later, family, don't go. So I went to New York. I lived in New York. I lived in Astoria. I even got bored with that, and I went to Greece, and I lived in Greece, and I had art shows there. I was doing graffiti all over there. It was really cool. But then, the circle of life gets you back to home. I'm back in Long Island, embracing it. Now we live in a house where my older brother lived. My parents didn't want the big house anymore on the other block because it was just them. So we took my brother's home, which is very unique. It's the only stone house in this area. It's like a chalet kind of house. I have to take a picture of it and post it one day. So
definitely.
And what my parents did is they made it into 3 stories. And so when I came back, they're like, you live on the top, since I'm like that. I don't care where I go, as long as I have a space for my art. My brother and his wife and his child is on the 2nd floor, and my parents are downstairs, which is awesome because I'm the godmother. So I get to see my godson. We get to paint. He's better than me. He's like amazing. And then I get to take care of my parents because they're older now, very old. And it's like my world now is like art and taking care of them. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't have it any other way.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So tell us about what it was like living in Greece. Like, what was that experience like for you? Did it impact how you created?
Yes, yes.
Mm.
First of all, just being in Greece and being a Greek American, everybody embraced me as like, oh, she's so cool. Like they thought I was like amazing. So I felt I had more opportunities than the other Greek artists. And it was crazy that I did, but I was like, okay. So I would go into really cool rooftop restaurants and I'd be like, I'm an artist. You want me to create something for you? So yeah, people would give me opportunities. I had art everywhere in Athens. And then my Greek friends, they would think I was cool. So they'd be like, I'm going to take you to places where you could just do art on walls. And don't worry, because, I have a cop friend and you're not going to get in trouble. That's what I started doing. And then this magazine started seeing what I was doing. What I did was I started doing, I would steal rocks from the beach. This is how it all started. Beautiful white rocks. And I would marker them up and put symbols of Greece and the word agapi. Agapi is universal. Everybody knows it means love, right? And I have it tattooed here too.
Nice.
Because my mother always used to write it for me, agapi, agapi. So I tattooed it. So then I would just take it here. I have, this is the only rock, the white rock from the beach. And I would just put symbols on it. Agapi, the infinity sign, and just Greek symbols like everything that would be Greek, and I would leave them everywhere. Every restaurant, I would put my tag on the back, eRocks NY. And that's how people would get to know me. And then my friend had the idea, let's put it on huge tarps and then stick it all over Athens. So I did. And that's when a magazine approached me and they put me on front cover and they put a whole article in Greek. And it was really interesting. I think my career would have went really far if I stayed. But I got lonely because my family was here. And I was like, all right, I got to go back. And I'm like, New York, though, New York is the mecca of everything, too. So I was like, I'll take a break from Greece and come back here and just do it here.
Do you think you'd ever go back?
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely going back this summer. I just booked my tickets.
Nice.
So to live, yeah, but not right now because I feel like the family needs me here. But definitely going back, definitely. And I definitely recommend everyone going. You have to
I've never been to Greece.
Oh my God.
Around
You
that
have
area.
to go. You have to go.
Yeah, definitely. So, your culture is incredibly rich and it's incredibly important to you. And, you are somebody who's embraced it and expresses your culture very freely in your work. And you just had the opportunity to exhibit in Washington, D.C., a beautiful exhibit, we should add, where you were really celebrated. Tell us what that experience was like.
They really, wow, these people really made me feel like I was some famous Greek artist. They found me through.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. They found me through Instagram, and this Blue series has been really amazing for me because it really has connected with the Greek community. I mean, there's not one Greek person who doesn't love it and relates to, like, at least, it's a series of 12. I mean, they're like, this reminds me of this. I can't wait to go back to this place, so it's like I've been very fortunate and lucky that the Greek community has embraced me. I have right now the prints of the Blue series hanging in a Greek restaurant. I've also created collage prints that people have bought from me. But the original series, I have sold a few. The original series, what was left, they invited me to exhibit it in Washington, D.C. For this big, like, black tie affair. And they're like, you know what? Let's ask her if she can donate something, and then we give her an opportunity to show her work, and she could, try to sell it. But overall, it was all about the connections and networking and communicating with everyone there, which was absolutely amazing. I was a featured artist. They had me on the books, the flyers. I met so many diplomats, ambassadors, and it was really something special. And it was a
great.
great feeling to experience it all. It really was.
You talked about like that other side of being a creative. Like, yes, we all love the process, but you talked about that moment when you actually see somebody experience joy from your work. Like that to me is almost as rewarding as actually spending time getting lost in the studio. It's knowing that you can evoke a certain emotion in somebody from something that you created from nothing. Like, can you think of any examples that have been like particularly special to you in that situation?
Yeah. So I had an exhibit in New York City. It was like a group show. This is when, at the time, I was working a 9 to 5 job. And so I invited everyone from my job. And it was great because one person who I actually wasn't even really close to, but they knew of me and they came to the show, which was amazing. They bought a piece from me and they started crying. And I was like, why are you crying? Is everything okay? Like, I wasn't sure what was wrong. And they're like, because this is how I feel. And you just put it out there. It was a woman. It was my woman series. And I made her like a warrior, but you could feel like she was in pain, but she was strong. And she was just like, it was a really nice painting. And I didn't know what was going on with her in her life because she was always very quiet. And so she's like, I have to have it because it reminds me to be strong, like you're strong and how you portrayed it in this. And it was really nice feeling that she connected to it and she got that out of it because, as an artist, like everybody has their story, but I loved how she got her own story from it. So that was one incident. Other incidents is just like, they just feel like I have to have it because I like the colors. It just makes me feel happy, and I feel like I'm no like therapist or doctor, but at the same time artists are helping others cope with whatever they're coping with, you know what I mean?
Yep,
and
absolutely.
and I feel that's what we have to give to the world, and we have to do it. It's like, that's why I want to do it. That's why I want to create. I want to always, do you always have those kind of reactions? I don't know. Even if I didn't, I'm still doing it for me at the end of the day.
A lot of artists kind of found that during the pandemic, they felt even more inspired. We all got this kind of global reset, right? Where we had time that we didn't otherwise have before. Obviously, a very tragic time, and a lot of people were lost. But I think for creatives, we saw this just like surge in activity, this surge in creativity, because, well, certainly for me, I felt like I needed to just express something, like just have a way of computing what I was feeling at the time and what the world was feeling. Did you find that during that time you were more creative, or did you find that your creativity was different during that time?
In the beginning, it was different.
Mm.
And because I'm always a positive thinker and always want to like, portray that in my work and get that out, I did find in the beginning, I was very lost and confused. And I knew to get out of it, I had to create. So I did create a piece that I think I titled "It's Complicated," and it was just like very abstract, and it was like faces, very abstract, but of like, I felt like it was the way I was feeling, like the different emotions and faces that I was creating. So, and then the other piece I had created was more like a fight between fear and being not happy to no, it's love is going to power it. And, love is going to win and happiness is going to make this better. So that is one painting also that I created that is like a lot going on. It's like, it feels like to me when I painted it, it was like a fight between the bad and the good, and how in the end the love won. So it was a catharsis kind of a painting. And then after that, I was just creating and I was fine. I mean, everybody was bitching and complaining that they're home. Meanwhile, I'm like, this is what I do every day. Like, I like being home in my space and having that time to create. Sometimes, like, there's not enough time because I don't like I don't like so much creating at night because I like the daylight. Something about the light gives the true colors, and I feel like I'm more into it, and my energy and my vibes are more real during the day.
I get that. Is there like an artist that you've just found that you have admiration for, or somebody that's particularly inspired your journey, or any major artists that you saw as a young person that you looked up to? Who have been your influences?
I've as a child, well, not so young, but like, in college years, learning about all the artists, I really, really loved Picasso. I loved Van Gogh. I just loved their use of colors. I loved Van Gogh's on how he, like, his paintings like were layers and layers of paint. I kind of do that myself with when I work with my hands, and I'm putting it on canvas. But I also loved, Picasso's abstracts, and
Mm.
I find there's something beautiful about abstract and not like the perfection.
Hmm.
It's and it and just like the more like the dream quality of how art of how colors blend and how things just are created. I also did like Frida Kahlo because besides the fact that she had a unibrow.
I didn't want to say it, but yeah,
It's okay.
we love Frida Unibrow.
I liked her because I'm sorry.
I said the Frida brow is iconic. We love it.
Now it's iconic. Now it's like it's okay to have big eyebrows. It's crazy. But I liked how she would paint with her pain, and I relate to that because I've been there, with the pain, and like how she was just like she didn't care what anybody thought, and she was a strong woman. And as a woman, you have to appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And she becomes a role model.
Are there any stories that you would want to share about, like, just any of your adventures? You're a joyful, exuberant, kind of adventurous person. Like, has there been anything along the way that you think has really changed your outlook and changed how you create?
I think what changed my outlook and to be more of who I really am now as an artist, I think it was when I left my 9 to 5 job. I was like, when you get older, at least for me, I feel like simplicity is best. And you just want a simple life. I didn't give a crap about making all this money that I was making. And it just something triggers in you. And you're like, you know what? I just want to be true to myself. I want to create. I want to feel. I want to capture that moment because I'm all about the moment. And whatever I make, I will survive. It's not a problem. You know what I mean? Like simplicity, like it just be simple. I make money just to get more art supplies. I don't care about what a normal girls, I guess, care about, like the jewelry, the fancy things. My jewelry are my tattoos. I'm like tattooed all over. And that's my story too, like my symbols on my body is also a part of who I am. And that's why I think I do these little symbols in my artwork sometimes, because it's like a diary of like that moment in time. And it just represents who I am. And it's like, I want to remember that. I want to capture that. And it's amazing because as I grow and I just evolve more, I think my style stays true to who I am, but the subject might change. And like every day it's different. And I think when I left that, that routine life is when I was awakened again. And I was like, this is where I want to be. I am an artist, and I am, living the dream now, like, which was just to do what my heart desires. And, and to me, art is like a devotion. I'm very devoted to it. And that's why I think when you say you could feel the energy and the passion is because really, whatever I create with that love and passion. And that's really my motto, and whatever I do it with love. And therefore, that's what I want to spread, the love in any which way or form.
I love that. Is there any particular piece that you're like super attracted, super connected to, that you would have a hard time letting go of?
Yeah, there is a piece. Although all my pieces, I feel like that because I've said this before. It's like you create something and it almost becomes a love affair, because you're very intimate with it. I get very involved. So it's like especially when you're creating it with your hands, it's like it's almost like your babies or or just like, a piece that you love dearly. But it's also a beautiful thing when somebody else feels the love and you give it to someone or they buy it from you. That's also a beautiful feeling too. But yes, there is a painting that a few, but I'll tell you the one that it really is there to the top. It's a painting that's called Somebody. And it's a big, huge painting. It's blue and there's this one red person. It's an abstract. And that's the first time and the first painting that I said, you know what, I'm going to paint this with my fingers, just my fingers. That started the series. So it was a summer, what was it? Summer of 2013. And of course, because I'm obsessed with the sun. I'm like, I got to go out there. And I just, because it's like energizes me, like I'm obsessed with the moon, but I worship the sun too, like it's like those two things is like brings me energy, I feel. So, but I'm looking at this canvas and I'm like, I can't go. I can't leave. Like I'm in my bikini and I'm like, I can't go outside now. So I take the paint and I'm putting it on my hands. And I'm honestly, like when the paint goes on your hands, it's like something magical, something like your chemistry now is like magic with the paint and you feel that energy. And I'm just like painting with my hands, doing these motions, you don't control it. It's like something that just controls you at the moment. Yep. And as an artist, you definitely understand what I'm saying. Absolutely. And then as I'm going through these layers of blue, because blue is to me, it's like one of my favorite colors. All of a sudden, I'm like, I took this red paint, put it in my hands, and I went like this, and I'm like that, just like that, boom, boom. And all of a sudden, it transformed into a person. And now I'm looking at the painting, and I'm like, that's somebody. And it was like, it looked like a million people. The blue was like millions of people. And that red person was that somebody. And that somebody, to me, could be me, could be you. It's somebody in the world, and I'm just like, that person is important, like to me, it was a strong piece because it felt like that somebody is somebody in the world of so many. And that's how I felt, like very strong connection to it. And as I showed it to other people, they really loved it too. And I was like, and actually one person, random person at an exhibit I had in Dumbo was like, they were staring and staring at it. And of course I didn't have it for sale. It was just to exhibit. And he's like, that's the piece that's going to make you famous. He said to me, I mean, all right. I was like, okay. But a lot of people connect to it. I wish I had a picture of it.
I know exactly which one you mean. I can see it because I love when artists put that blue, particularly, it's like that climb blue with red. Like it's really powerful and jarring and like just there's so much depth. So I know exactly which piece you're talking about. Maybe we can put it in the comments after this session.
Sure, so absolutely. Yeah, so that's the piece that I can't really give up. And it's funny because my sister-in-law, for a while, she had it in her house. And I was like, okay, she can have it in her house. And then she's like, you are definitely not selling this. I'm like, listen, if I find the right buyer who's going to love it as much as I love it, I'm like, for sure, I would definitely part from it. But yeah, sometimes it's hard to part from your work. But as I get older, I realize, because I have you don't see my studio, but it's like boxes and bubble wrap of like so many paintings. And but I realized that it's okay to let it go, because once you let it go and you know that it's out there, because there's a lot of paintings that I know are out there in the world, like, because I've sold a lot and I've given a lot, and it's a great feeling. But when you start giving and you start like, you don't have a lot anymore, like whatever, it's almost like you feel the loss, and then it's like it makes you want to create more. So it's okay. It's like it's okay to part with it. I'm okay with parting now with my work. Just like that, a special one. That's a special one that I'm not sure yet.
I have one that hang on to that is like super special. But it's funny because it's changed names like 4 or 5 times
Oh,
since I
wow.
created it. And it's the one piece that I could never replicate. And no matter how I tried to like replicate the style that I did, I just couldn't do it. So it was kind of like this like holy grail piece. It was like for a moment I was the exact artist that I wanted to be for
Wow.
like a split second in time. And I've been trying to accomplish that again and again, and I've never got there. I've never said that piece is exactly it. And so
Wow.
like I don't think I could let that piece go because it's such a snapshot of like exactly what who I want to be.
Right. Oh, you have to put that in the comments too, because I want to see it.
Yeah, and it's funny because it never photographs well. It's like one of those pieces that like I couldn't like turn it into an NFT because it's very textural. Like there's a lot of acrylic medium and granular gel, and there's almost like a little sparkle to it, but it never ever photographs well.
Yeah,
So
you have to see it in person. Yeah.
exactly. How do you name your pieces? Speaking of naming, do you have a name in mind as you creating it, or is it something you wait until it's complete to do?
Yeah, I definitely wait until it's complete.
Mm.
Like this one here, for example, this is when I was missing the city because I used to live in the city and I used to go to the rooftop and I used to look at the stars and I would just daydream. And so I created this one summer here in Long Island and it was really hot and I just called this one Hot in the City.
Love it.
That's why it's like red sky, but really colorful.
Love that.
And then the symbols on top are just like, symbols that I just for some reason I just love putting into art.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to what you just said about you created something, you don't know if you can ever recreate that style. I've had situations like that also where I'll create a series and then when I'm done with that series, I'm like, I don't know if I could do that again. Like my mom, she'd be like, she's my number one fan, by the way. And
So
she's never come to any of my exhibits until recently.
hmm.
And it's crazy because it's like, she really is seeing it from a different level now. Like, wow, like she sees all the work I have, the way I present an art show, and she loves it. She's like, wow. And she sees how people enjoy it or when people buy it. And she's just like, you imagine this Greek old lady and she's like, I don't believe it. So I used to paint this on my wall. Everything I do for mom, because I really,
So sweet.
yeah, because it's the truth. It's the truth. It's like, if there's anyone, I love impressing people with what I create. It's like, I love that kind of attention. I mean, who doesn't?
Right.
But the number one person I want to impress is my mom.
I could second that.
So every time I create something, I'm like running downstairs and I'm like, look what I did. And she's a good critic. She'd be like, I don't, and I'm like, Ma, no, it's abstract, it has to be this way. And then she's like, I'm not saying I don't like it. She's like, she's funny. But she recently said to me, how come you don't do those abstracts like you did when you were younger? And I'm like, I don't think I could do it anymore. Like at that moment in time, this is like my women series. I was living in Astoria, frustrated with my 9 to 5. And I would come home and just paint on the floor with my dog at the time. He was my muse. Now he's gone. He's so cute. My little papillon. Now I smother my mom's dog. Now I made him into a mush because every time he sees me now, he's like, love me.
Oh.
But yeah, there are times in your life where you create a certain style and there could be paintings that you could recreate, but there are styles where you're like, I don't know if I can go there again. It's pretty weird. Sometimes I look at some of my work and I'm like, how did I do that? Like, what possessed me at that moment in time that I was in that zone? You know what I mean?
What do you think it is? Like, where do you think, because we've had like group discussions about this, but like, where does it come from? What is that creativity? Like,
I think at that time it was frustration. I think it was frustration that I really wanted to do that 24/7, but then there was something taking me away from it. So who knows? It could have been that. It could have been that. I don't know. What do you guys say it was?
I like to think like have you read Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert?
No,
Okay. In fact, I just saw it here on my bookshelf, so I'm going to show
I'm gonna
everybody.
write it.
Yeah, so it's this book. This
Okay, nice.
so
I have a painting that like that.
you got to get this, or I'll send you a copy. It is. She talks about how, like, we have to be working, right? We have to be creating, like, each day, and inspiration is something that it's like in the wind, right? It's like it's coming. It's like it could pass you by. It could be fleeting, but unless you're actually working and like going through ideas and failing and workshopping what you're doing, you won't be available to receive that idea and it'll go to somebody else. And I mean, she goes a lot deeper than that, than my, not very great synopsis of it, but it's just really powerful because one of the examples she gave is she had this idea that was kind of up here and it was like ruminating and it was about this particular story, but she just wasn't ready to do it. She wasn't ready to write it. And so she kind of let it go. And then she went to this conference and another author had essentially wrote that story that she had in her head. So it was like it went on to somebody else. And I just think it's magical, right? It's like the idea of where our creativity comes and how we as artists can just look at a blank sheet of paper or look at a blank canvas in your case and be like, it's going to be a city. It's going to be a magical city. It's going to be, whatever. It's really a fascinating process of how we get the ideas and then how we put them and express them to the world.
I agree. I mean, like I said, sometimes I have these visions, but you don't really know how it's going to turn out until you finally like get your paints and your canvas and you implement it, and you try to figure it out creatively, but it's a nice process because it's like you're having fun with it. Mm-hmm. And but that's happened to me too, where I have ideas and then they're just gone with the wind too, because and then somebody else does it. But I mean, like everybody has different ways of creating an idea too. So everybody has their unique style. So I feel like I have so many ideas and I'm overwhelmed at times. So right now I just write them down. I have like a million notes everywhere. So sometimes when I'm here sitting and I'm drinking my coffee, I'm looking at everything. Right. And it's like, what is drawing me? Like what is pulling me in? And then that's how I start working with that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm definitely going to read that book and I would love to see her interpretations about how. And the cover is funny because I actually painted a painting like that.
That's perfect.
I call it Cloud 9.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
What are you excited about next? What's kind of, now that we're coming out of the pandemic and things are kind of, some semblance of normalcy is coming back, like what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to finding the next inspiration. But I have kind of put that on hold a little bit because as an artist, I'm trying to work through it, but I feel like either you're going to be in that zone of creativity or because when I'm there. It's like, I don't want any distractions. And I can't find the balance because right now I'm more focused on the NFT world. And I want to learn more, and I'm trying everything that you taught us. And I just opened up the OpenSea. I'm trying to get the connections with the wallet and then figuring out how to like mint the first art and just put it up there. And so because my brain is in that focus right now, like I haven't found the balance where I could do both at the same time.
Yeah.
I feel I feel almost like I'm doing an injustice to the work, like if I'm focused with something, let me do that. So I am doing like I write my notes because I'm like obsessed with writing notes, and like I never leave without this thing, like not that I forget, but because I feel like there's so much going on, so I want to organize it better. Right. So I set my organization where I will do this today. I will do this tomorrow. And then the next day I will give my whole day to just creating again. Mm-hmm. But when I do have those flashes of creativity and ideas, just write it down and I go back to it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Elena, it's been a pleasure. I love hanging out with you. We're going to do it in person sometime. We're going to have real coffee.
Let's do it whenever if you ever have a show, Or I know you said in the past you used to have Conception Arts used to have. Why don't you do it again? Well,
We're coming back. We're coming back.
I
We're
want to
just
be
trying to
in.
find a new
I want to get
venue.
involved. Yeah.
Of course, of course. So tell people where they can go and buy your artwork, where they can check you out, how they can get in touch.
Okay, very simple. Just erocksny.com. Same thing on every platform, erocksny on Instagram, on Facebook, on my Twitter, and just Google it, erocksny. You'll find me everywhere.
Awesome.
So,
Well, put it in the comments, folks. You've got no excuse. Go check out Eleanor's work. Reach out, commission her, buy her work. It's beautiful. It's joyful. I have like I said at the top of the show, I have a pillow that I love. That pillow actually went to England and came back with me, by the way.
you use it at the airplane, right?
Yeah, it's so cozy.
I put it right under here so my neck doesn't move.
That's amazing. And Frankie also loves it too.
Good.
So
what a cute little son you got over there.
Cute. He's pretty cute. Well, thank you. Thank you
for your time. Thank you for your time and the opportunity. And I'd really love to meet you in person. Whenever you're in the city,
we'll make it happen.
I'll come find you.
It's happening. It's happening.
All right. You got it.
Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Coffee with Artists. If you enjoyed what you saw here today, click that subscribe button on YouTube, share this on Facebook, spread some love. One of the most powerful things that we can do for artists, if it's not just buying their work, if that's not an option for you, yep, there you go, is to share, to spread the love, to tag them, to like their posts, retweet, all of the above. That is one of the most powerful things we can do to spread the love. So we will be back. I think we're going to be back next week, actually. So keep an eye out for our upcoming interviews. And that is it from us today.
Thank you.
Friday.
Happy Friday. Enjoy your weekend.
Yes. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.